my life is pretty glorious, and I've had, I think I've been on leading edge quite a bit, and as I'm sitting in front of you, I have tears and almost overwhelmment. And one of the questions is, in bliss, do you feel like you're in do you feel like you've in la la land? Do you feel like you're in automatic mode? Do you feel just, one thing you say is the next logical step. And I feel like I'm almost on automatic pilot with the next logical step. Doesn't feel bad, but it's almost uncomfortable to a point to where am I? What am I doing?
Well, you're trying too hard. And we want you to reach for bliss. We want you to follow your bliss. We want you to point in the direction of bliss, but we want you to feel the relative term of bliss. So let's say that you have a new idea and that it's exciting to you. We could use the word bliss interchangeably with exciting. Let's say that you are feeling the adventure of something. We could use the word bliss interchangeably with adventure. Let's say that you have an idea, you focused on it a while, the ideas began to flow, the feeling of being able to accomplish it sort of sweeps over you, and now you are just on fire with it. And you might even call that bouncing off the wall enthusiasm. You might call that breathtaking, knock yourself out kind of feeling, and you might also call it bliss. Let's say that you have been worrying about something, and then you remembered that it's illogical to worry, and you focus upon your knowledge of how things always work out, and you turn in the direction of a feeling of relief. You might even say that that felt like bliss in relationship to the discord that you were feeling before. So let's start using all emotions as turning in the direction of, let's call it downstream, upstream. Let's call it relief or not. In other words, what's the opposite of relief? What's a word that means unrelief? There are many of them, but let's find one. Coin it. There's relief and hard to
friction.
find one, isn't there? So that's why we say downstream, upstream. That's why we say allowing, resisting.
That feels better.
And so just capture the essence of what you're reaching for. And Esther, in the beginning, when she began receiving us, felt like she had her toe in a light socket. And we've got to tell you, it was not a time of ease. You'll never see those videotapes. Jerry got the camera out, but it was not a pretty sight. It looked like a body out of control. It was spastic. It was jerky. She could hardly sit in her chair. Her head was moving awkwardly. Her voice was sounding awkward. Her feet were kicking around. Her hands were moving awkwardly as the energy of us was stuffing itself through her vibration. Jerry was summoning us against Esther's will. That's what was happening. Not really, but so to speak. Esther was not up to speed. And so you began here by saying you almost feel overwhelmed as we're playing with you a little bit. And it only means that we're sort of full on energy. And sometimes you're ready for that and sometimes you're not. And in any case, it's just fine. You see, the first thing, the biggest thing, first, last, and always, the thing that trips you up the most often is knowing that you're not downstream, wanting to be, and pointing it out to yourself, which turns you emphatically upstream. So the way to get downstream is by saying, all right already, I'm doing my best. And it's working out all right for me. And nobody's holding me to any standards. It's all me holding myself to my own standards. And I'm doing pretty darn good. And all in good time. And everything's working out all right. You said all of those things. You said, I think I have a pretty good life. Those are downstream statements. So you did not learn from us these strict standards. You've learned those from others who say, this is the hoop to jump through, and if you don't jump through it, you're off your path. And we say, nothing could be further from the truth, because you did not say, I'll go forth and I'll get it right and I'll hold myself to that standard. If you could hold yourself in one vibrational place, you would not move forward. You need the contrast in order to move. This is how it works. Know what I don't want, know what I do want, know what I don't want, know what I do want, know what I want, don't want, know what I do want, know what I don't want, know what I do want. No one ever stands still. You cannot do it. And so give yourself a break and enjoy the reason that you came into this environment. Esther is having the most glorious ride on her struggle over the secret. It was hard for her. She felt forsaken. She felt like she was ripped off. She felt like she was robbed. She felt like she was being dishonored. In other words, she had strong negative emotion for a while, but out of it came clarity and desire and clear-mindedness beyond that which she had ever felt before. And so for a while, oh boy, was she contradicted, because this was what had her attention. Every time she turned on the television, she saw another piece of it, and nobody ever mentioned her name. Every time she turned on the television, she saw her life work being paraded across the television, and she was being deliberately left out of it, and she was beating the drum of injustice so loud that Jerry nearly ran away from home. He was hiding the remote controls so that she wouldn't find them. He was trying to distract her with cotton candy and rides on horses at the amusement park. He was doing everything in his power to distract her from anything that would take her down that road. But out of that powerful discomfort came rockets of desire. And one night, Esther said to herself, enough of this. With all of the wonderful things that are going on in my life, why would I choose this one thing and use it as my excuse to deprive myself of everything that I have ever been and all that I have become? And as she turned and deliberately moved herself, not rapidly, slowly, over the period of 3 or 4 days, every night an effort, every night an effort. And finally, the last 2 hours on the last night, she managed to work herself into what you're talking about, a state of unparalleled bliss that would not have been possible had it not been for this. Now, you don't have to go there in order to go there, but it helps. Now you know what you're doing. So there's never a reason to feel upset about anything that's happening. Not anything that anybody else is doing, and not your response to anything that anybody else is doing. Don't hold yourself to impossible standards. Be the synthesizer of life experience in the way that you've intended to be. And let this life give you the stuff from which you create. And have fun mostly, you see.
Yeah.
That's all. Have fun mostly.
When you said impossible standards, I felt myself just almost well up, like wanting to burst out a full-on boo-hoo cry.
You have this new feeling of responsibility. You're wanting to live your life in the way that you would like others to learn how to live it. You have an emphatic new relationship that you are wanting to mentor in the most positive way. But you are tuned in. You are turned on. You are tapped in. You are a example the majority of the time of someone who's in alignment with Source. And when you're not, just think of Esther. Yeah. She's not either. In other words, she does all right. And we make a point, if you've been listening for a while, we tell every story of everything Derry and Esther live. We parade before you, because it is our dominant intention that you understand that we are not seeking perfection from any of you. Except you. We want it from you. What we are encouraging is your relaxing in your life and realizing that synthesizing data means you got to take on some stuff that you may not want. In other words, how do you know what you do want if you're not aware of what you don't want?
That feels better.